Alright, circle graphs are like pie graphs. In fact, they're the same thing. So we could actually put pie graphs here too. So basically you have a circle that represents a whole. So let me get a circle going here. So this circle graph represents one whole, or 100%. So if this whole thing was filled in, it would represent 100%. Or, like I said, one whole. So what we're going to do is we're going to isolate which each part of this circle represents. So let's say we had a pie taken out of this circle. Here's the pie of this circle. Let's say that pie represents 12%. Now, that's 12% of the whole, which means the rest of this from here all the way back to here is 100%, so one whole minus 12%. So 100 minus 12, and you would get 88. So all of this from here to here is 88%. Now if you're writing this down in your notes, make sure you put that a circle graph is one whole, represents one whole of the information. And also that a circle graph is separated into sections, and those sections are percents of the whole, or fractions of the whole. So really, I could actually rewrite this information. Instead of saying 12%, I could actually write this as 12 over 100, which is a fraction. And this is 88 over 100 as a fraction. Now I can also reduce those once I do that. 12 over 100 is the same thing as saying 3 over 25, and 88 over 100 is the same thing as saying 22 over 25. So those are the same things as saying 12% and 88%. There's just two different ways of representing the data. Now, one thing you have to write down about circle graphs, no matter how many different wedges there are in this graph, in this circle, they all have to add up to one whole. 100 over 100, which equals 1, or 100%. So don't forget that. Alright, here's an example of a circle plot and the kind of questions you're going to get. So here it is. It says food pantries. About 21.3 million people in the United States use food pantries each year. The circle graph below shows their ages. How many people who use food pantries are 17 or younger? So the first thing you have to do is figure out what 17 or younger is. Well, it's right here, 17 or younger. It's the pink. So we're looking at this area. So that is 41%. So 41% of 21.3 million people in the United States are 17 or younger that have pantries, that use food pantries each year. 17 or younger use food pantries each year out of 21.3 million people. So, if you actually want to figure out what that number is, you have to figure out what 41% of 21.3 million is. So what I would do is I would actually multiply 41% of 21.3. Now, you might do it a different way. You might actually use is over of equals percent over 100, which is, my is something I'm trying to figure out what is, and my of is 21.3 million. The percent is 41, and it's out of 100. So now we're going to cross multiply. We get 100x equals 21.3 times 41. 873.3. Now divide both sides by 100. And I get that x equals Now when I divide by 100, all it does is move the decimal over 2 spots. So 8.733. Now don't write your answer down as 8.733 because that's not the answer. Because 21.3 represents million people. So that's 8.733 million people that are 17 or younger use food pantries each year. Now, if I wanted to know how many were 17 or younger and 18 through 49, I would add these 2% up right here. So I would get 78% of 21.3 million, and I would do it the same way. So that's how you work a circle graph problem. Now you should already know that. It's kind of a review for you, but I just wanted to show you an example. Let me show you another example. Here we want to create a circle graph for the given information, endangered species. So the first thing we have to do is figure out what the whole is. To figure out the whole, you have to add up all the species. So I'm going to add up all these numbers right here. When I do that, I get 1,000, make this a little bit better, 1,070 is what I get when I add all those up. Now, when we make a circle graph, everything's in fractions. So we want to put these in fractions. So the easiest way to do that is to figure out which each one is. So we're going to do mammals first. So mammals would be, I'm going to put mammals over here. I'm going to put mam for mammals. Mammals would be 342 out of 1,070 because there's 342 mammals out of 1,070 altogether. Now once we divide that, we get 31.3196. Now if I wrote that as a percent, that would be 31.96%, or roughly 32%. I'm going to put 32% because this is an estimate. Now I'm going to write that right here, 32%. That way I don't run out of room later when I'm showing you the rest of the problems. And so that's what I'm going to do. But I'm going to do it for each one of these. So the next thing I'm going to do is birds. Now, to kind of save a little time for your video, I'm going to go ahead and work out all these percents by myself. Alright, now I have all the percents written beside them. Now if you want to check me, go ahead and work them out and see if I got the same answers as you did. So I'm going to erase this down here. Now, the only problem with this is that it's going to be hard for me to actually draw a circle graph with 32% on the circle and be really accurate. I can kind of come close, but it's going to be kind of hard. So the best way to do this is to actually figure out what 32% of the circle is. Well, how many degrees are in a circle? There's 360. So you find 32% of 360. To do that, all you have to do is do a proportion. 32% of 360, or you can just multiply 0.32 times 360. And you'll end up getting, let me do it really fast, move 2 decimal places, 115.2%, or 115 degrees. So now I know how to do 115 degrees. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a protractor to find 150 degrees. This is my line, my 180 degree line. 150 degrees from there would be like right there. So this is my mammals, or my 32%. Now I do that to all the rest of the problems. So I'm going to figure out what 25.5% of 273 is. Now there's another way to do this, and let me show you the other way. This is correct. However, I had to round each one of these percents, and they're not exact percents. So the best way to actually do exact percents is to do it as a proportion. So we did 273 out of 1,070 mammals, right, to figure out 25.5%. And we want to know what that is out of 360 degrees of the circle. So it's in proportions. We can cross multiply. And once we cross multiply, we end up getting that x is going to be equal to roughly 92%. Or 92 degrees, not percent. So now we can actually measure out 92 degrees. Which would be something like this. That's my 25.5%. Now if I kept going and I did all of these, it's going to take me a while. So in class we probably won't do very many. But it's going to end up looking like something like this. Where all of these are represented into this graph. Now, I could keep going, but this could be a 20-minute video. So what I'm going to do is we're going to work on this problem. Make sure you have your questions ready for us in class, and we'll continue from there.